All right, hear ye, it's in between. The rules are there are no rules. Uncle Todd will not put monkey bleeps in because he does not want to on weekends. So Sean can say all his little adult dirty words.
Fucking yeah.
And I won't stop any of them. Richard can say his adult dirty words.
Fucking yeah. Oh, wait.
Penis.
Vagina.
But
of course, that's the difference. Sean goes very blue. Richard is very clinical.
Richard goes very... So I go blue,
I'm
Richard
sorry,
goes
you're
pink.
such a penis. Is that way we're going to coach?
I'm sorry, you're such a fallopian tube. Like what?
You are
clinical.
such an anus. Just a gaping anus.
Okay, so that makes me think of, did anyone watch Watchmen?
Can JJ not sit here while we talk? I don't know that I can have this conversation.
I guess I should introduce that we will have a silent member across from me is
Judging us
Sean's wife,
silently,
JJ.
yes.
Thank you for the cinnamon rolls, the fruit, and the sausage that I had this morning. That was amazing. I don't normally eat that for breakfast.
May I tell the story that I said last night about my... I said it earlier that, you know, when I told you when we come over, you always give us food. And so today we had sausage, we had cinnamon rolls, fruit. I've had Captain Crunch, which is by far the greatest cereal ever created for mankind. And I told her last night, I said, you know what my wife says when I said, you know, JJ makes us food? She's like, fuck JJ. And it's because she's like, great, JJ's better than I am. You are a wonderful hostess. Or would you prefer it just host? Okay, I didn't know, you know, since you can't say stewardess, I didn't know if hostess was now out of the nomenclature.
As opposed to what? Host?
Just saying host. Host, the very non-gender assigned. Because you could be a female host. You don't have to be a hostess. I'm just asking a damn question. Richard looks like he's, I don't know if I'm...
No, I'm going through the math in my head. Like I'm going like what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. I think the appropriate terminology right now is to use the non-gender neutral when you talk about somebody, unless you know how they feel about things. We had a guest we had a guest for the comic book women's comic book club that was non-binary, and we really had to struggle with using non-gendered terms. Mm-hmm. So it was they and them when we talked about things about this particular author's stuff. And it was kind of a hard trap because we're so used to that. But you also, you know, I don't like this idea of PC culture where you're like, well, I have to do this, I have to do that. I'm not into like this idea of being angry about having to respect somebody and giving somebody what they feel they need.
It's kind of like if somebody says Happy Kwanzaa to you, you say thank you. That's it.
Right.
You don't have to reply back Merry Christmas or anything. You can just say thank you.
Somebody says have a blessed day to me. I say have a blessed day. Yeah. Because that's important to them. It's no skin off my back to reply to them how they feel relevant, how they feel important. It doesn't do anything negative to them. I don't know why.
No, but I think the thing that on the flip side we have to be prepared for is those people. If you come up and say Happy Kwanzaa to me and I say Merry Christmas, then we have to understand that it's back and forth. And there's no reason that I can't come back. It's, you know, it's the same as that if you speak Spanish and I speak English, if you say hola, I say hello, we're saying the same things just in different ways. I think as long as you don't get into, well, Merry Christmas, motherfucker.
Well, Jesus is the reason for the season.
There's a balance between those.
There is.
There's a balance between respecting somebody's culture, their identity, who they are, and being able to be courteous and kind to them.
Without question. And
also being able to reply back at something that's a greeting that you feel is appropriate to you and then responding in kind.
If we can all take the time to simply... So in that situation when I asked JJ, I've known JJ for God knows how long, I've just never... I respect...
There you go. 25 years.
25 years.
That's not possible. That would mean we're old.
I respect JJ, and I want to know what she wants to how she wants me to refer to that. And the reason I bring that up, and you kind of alluded to it, if I say hostess, but she prefers host, we can't get into this assignment of it's host. You know, you can't be nasty. If she simply comes in and just says host, then that helps me know from that point forward.
But we know that that's not her personality.
No.
She's going to be gracious no matter what you say. And I'm
not even saying
we're talking
her
about
in
JJ.
particular.
Yeah,
I'm using her as an example.
Right.
Listen to what people want. And if somebody comes back to you and you've called them hostess and they simply say host, don't take offense. Don't be like, oh my God, I got to apologize.
Adapt. Understand. These are the people that you care for. They're your friends. They're the people, your loved ones. You kind of move with what they need. We do that with our spouses. We do that with our very close friends. There's no reason we can't do that for people on the internet or people that are in the public eye.
I can't remember where I heard somebody saying this. It was a female, obviously. She was going, I think it was an actor, and she goes, "Why do you want to be called an actor instead of an actress?" She goes, "Well, do you go to a doctor or a doctress?" No, you go to a doctor. It's a female doctor. It's a male doctor. So if it's going to be acting, you have a male actor, you have a female actor. So when you give the award, it's best actor male, best actor female, not best actress. Go to a pilotress.
But
you only go to a dominatrix.
Actor in and of itself is not a masculine term.
Right. It's what you're doing. So it's best male actor, best female actor.
It's moving into a place of a respect for everybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It's not trying to lessen somebody because of their gender.
Right.
And if there is somebody that wants to be called actress
if they want
instead
to be called
of actor,
that's
then
their
great.
choice. Yeah.
That's
It's
great.
no different than if you met me, and I don't even know if you know about this about me. I go by my middle name. My parents named me Kevin Todd, and I go by Todd. If you met me according to what you saw on the list somewhere, you'd come and call me Kevin. I'd simply correct you and say, I actually go by Todd.
It's the
That's
same.
It's no different. I am simply helping you understand. I don't answer to the name of Kevin.
I have a customer whose name is Christopher. His email is Chris at something. But when he would fill out his form, he would write Christopher. So for the first couple of weeks that he would come in, we called him Chris. Mm-hmm. And I had to pause for him and say, hey,
which one do you like?
I've noticed that you use this moniker. Do you prefer Chris or Christopher? Mm-hmm. And he goes, well, I go by Christopher. And I said, okay.
Yeah.
So every moment forward, I address him as Christopher. Mm-hmm. Even if some of the things he replies by and things it puts Chris in there, that's his preferred thing. Right. I mean, my name is Richard. I don't go by Rich. I don't go by Dick. Yeah. I don't go by Rick. I don't go by any of those names. My name is Richard.
Right.
It's a big flag when you call the store if you say Rick or Rich or Dick that you don't really know
the right person.
Oh, trust me. If I get a phone call and I'm like, "Hello, is Kevin there?" No, he's not. I hang up. I know you don't know.
And, yeah, if it's a call, hey, is Jerry Jane there? Oh, no, you got the wrong number.
But I do have a couple of people that are close to me that have adapted the name Rich. That's just kind of their thing.
Sure.
And so I'm not bothered by it because there's a familiar context them saying to me, and that's what they like.
It's
and
one thing if you said you don't want to be called that, and they're doing it against
as a familiar thing. Yeah. They think that it's comforting, and so I'm not bothered by it.
I think as a society, as a species, we are lazy. We want the path that says we all fit into this. And that's why when it becomes, oh, you don't speak our language, oh, you want something different. And that's where half of this nastiness comes from, is that when you cannot assimilate to be me, and by the way, you are a lovely, beautiful woman. Thank you so much. When you can't easily assimilate and I have to understand something other than what I want to understand, that's where this becomes nasty. And it's so lazy and it's disgusting to me because half the things I enjoy in the world is getting to meet somebody that I don't understand.
Right. And you can still use the preferred language and dialogue and pronouns when talking to somebody that is comfortable for them, and it's nothing. It does not hurt you or harm you in any way whatsoever to be kind.
No.
And recognize my neighbor, my friend, my lover, my spouse, my random person on the internet. There's no reason that you can't be polite and kind of move forward.
There's that saying, everybody that you meet is fighting a secret battle you know nothing about, so be kind to everybody.
So let me move a little further.
Okay.
When your grandparent says something off color, my grandmother will say darky.
Oh.
All right. Now, this is relevant because
my grandmother used the N-word quite often.
It's going to
my grandparents used to talk about them breeding like rabbits.
It's going to lead to the next topic.
Okay.
So my grandmother says darky when she refers to
person of color.
Does she in the U.S.?
Is she doing that to be offensive, or is that just how
she thinks that's
correct?
A correct term to say.
Well, I'm sure.
Now, my grandmother is also from Sand Springs, Oklahoma.
How old is she?
She is 92.
Okay.
She's from Sand Springs, Oklahoma, which is a suburb of Tulsa.
We're getting into Watchmen, yeah.
Which is related to what we just watched in the first episode of Watchmen.
Okay, which we talked about when we were coming up with what we wanted to talk about. So what you just heard was turning on the mics and three friends talking. I love your segue into it because I think all of us watched Watchmen. Can we all say that we all like the original Alan Moore?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Do we revere it? Of course, it's one of the greatest.
Yeah.
And so I will say that with Watchmen, I also find Damon Lindelof, who ran runs this show, and it was also one of the creators of Lost. And I had this conversation with a friend. You can badmouth Lost all you want for that it couldn't figure out how to end it, and it had so many tangential things. However,
change its ending.
However, you cannot look past its place in the history of television, what it did to change the landscape so we can tell those types of stories.
Correct.
Without question, he changed that. I think his show, The Leftovers, that was on HBO, was a beautifully done show for 3 seasons.
JJ and I only got through the first one, then we dumped it. I might come back to it at some point.
The end of it is just beautiful. So I went into this. Thank you, dear. I went into this so excited to watch it, and I was so shocked by the first 5
that opening
minutes.
scene, yeah.
Because if you've not seen it, and
well, it's not a spoiler because it's literally the first 5 minutes of the TV show.
And we may get into some spoilers. So if you've not seen it, you want to watch it, go watch it. Come back to us.
Watchmen pulls in actual history.
So I remember in the original comic that it touched upon some historical type.
It's like Vietnam stuff.
Yes, it actually touches in, and this belongs in there.
Potentially when the comedian killed JFK, stuff like that.
When this starts, we start in what year is that?
1921.
21. And we watch and we see a young African-American. Nala's not very happy.
I think she might want to go out soon. I don't know.
We see a young African-American man watching a silent film as his mother plays the piano. There's no one else in the theater. She's crying.
It's about a black hero.
And that too, I was like, oh my God. I feel like I've watched some silent film in my life, and I've never seen anything where the black man was the hero. They
switched up where literally the man in black is the good guy chasing down people in white that are the bad guys. Yeah. So he's seeing, this little kid is seeing himself up there as a hero.
And as the moment continues on, we realize something's wrong. They go out and there is
violence in the street.
A race riot beyond anything you could imagine, with lynchings, draggings behind cars, shootings. It is chaos. There's
from what I'm assuming,
from
the what you see, like people might be raped in alleyways. All this kind of stuff.
It's a really hard opening moment where you see white Americans move into and destroy a apparent black community.
Right.
And you see a man being dragged behind a truck, behind a car, as gunfire is going off.
We see nooses being put around necks.
Mm-hmm. Now, because of the use of the theater and the music, and because of the use of the trucks and stuff that's happening around, we know this happens back in time.
Right.
Yeah.
They establish it being in Tulsa. Mm-hmm. And for the viewing audience watching this for the first time that are horrified by this moment, that think that something that's fantasy that's happening in the world of the Watchmen, this actually happened.
Yeah.
And that was my whole thing. I was like, what is going on?
I had never heard of this.
It was only afterwards that I found that. So, Richard, you actually started telling us a bit about what you knew.
So I was born in Oklahoma, and I grew up in Norman, and my parents and my grandparents were from Sand Springs, which is a suburb of Tulsa, and it was not in the history books. It was not really on TV. But occasionally articles would come up, and this was a real event that happened in Tulsa in 1919, 1920, 1921.
I mean, think about it. That'd be the equivalent of nobody talks about Rodney King and the LA riots. We just don't talk about it, never mention it again. And that's probably violence-wise a smaller thing here than what happened here, because I'm reading like between 100 and 300 people were killed, and 8,000 people went to the hospital, and 35 blocks of districts were destroyed, which was the wealthiest black community in the United States, known as the Black Wall Street.
And what was the reason for it? I saw that there was something that occurred that set that off.
What it says here is, began on Memorial Day after 19-year-old Dick Rowland, a black shoeshiner, was accused of assaulting Sarah Page, the 17-year-old white elevator operator at the nearby Drexel building. So they took him in custody. A bunch of white people showed up. Then there was rumors that the kid was lynched, and then that's when everything got set off.
So that sets up Watchmen, and right away, because of what I've said, my reverence for Damon Lindelof, I immediately found that to be a very brave way to start as big a property as Watchmen. I think that people went in. If all you've ever seen,
you're expecting superhero stuff.
If all you've ever seen is Zack Snyder's film, you're at least expecting that world. If all you ever read is Alan Moore's book, you're expecting that world.
Yeah.
This was a really smart choice
to use a real life event
to